Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sari and today we are here with day 5 of the Simplify Your Life challenge. This challenge is based on an ebook by Michelle B. You can find that linked in the information below. If you want to follow along with the entire series, there is a playlist that I will link on the screen that will get you started with what this is, why we're doing it, and catch you up on days 1 through 4. With that, today is day 5, declutter your stationery. Let's get into it. So when I talk about stationery in this, what I'm talking about is basically office supplies, things you can buy at an office store. So pens, pencils, highlighters, markers, erasers, sharpeners, paper refills, notebooks, note cards, sticky tack, staples, tape, post-it notes, erasers, rulers, scissors, folders, whiteout, paper clips, rubber bands. If you can get it at an office store or in an office section, that's what we're doing today. If you watched day 4, you know that my lines got a little blurred and my note cards and some of my paper and some of my notebooks were mixed in with all of my papers. So we've already done some of it, but I have a deep love for notebooks. Every time I am in a store, especially if it's back to school time and the notebooks are on sale, even if they're just those plain solid cover spiral bound Mead notebooks, if they are on sale at Target, I will buy them. I will buy 6 of them because they're 50 cents each. I've curbed this in recent years by buying a whole bunch of them and then donating them to school supply drives. So at least I still get the high of buying the notebooks. But I'm also a sucker for like a notebook with a really cute or inspirational cover. Oh, this is a great size and I might use it for this, or I could use it for this. And then I don't, because let's be real, very few of us are taking notes in physical notebooks these days. We're doing it all online, and that's fine and that's great, and we're paperless and lovely. But why do we have all the notebooks? Why? Also pens. I have enough pens to keep a large office not having to purchase pens for at least a year. I just love office supplies. They're cute and they're fun and I keep buying them. And today we're going to get rid of them because it's gone beyond a problem to just ridiculous. I forgot to include art supplies in my earlier list. I also love art supplies. I don't actually do art very much. I used to. I'm bad at it. But my father really wanted me to be into art, so he just kept buying me high-end art supplies, and then I just made mediocre drawings with them. But it instilled a deep need to purchase every possible set of colored pencils, crayons, or markers that I could possibly get my hands on. You will see this today, that I, a person who does not really draw, likes to color but doesn't do it, and doesn't really make anything that requires markers, crayons, or colored pencils, own at least 3 sets of each. Because every time I go to the craft store, I'm like, ooh, this looks fun. I'm going to buy this. Ooh, look, acrylic paint. What? You don't paint? You've never painted ever. I mean, not ever, I have, but not like something that I'm sitting around my house thinking, you know what you should do today? Paint. It's a problem. It's a problem we're going to address, thankfully, but it's a problem. So, guiding questions for today are: 1, does this work and is it in good condition? If you have a whole bunch of pens, markers, whatever, etc., that are all dried up, why do you keep them? Why do we have them? Get rid of them. If you have a bunch of notebooks that are falling apart and they're half filled with old stuff you don't need, get rid of them. What I like to do is rip out the pages that are blank and use that as loose leaf paper or scrap paper. You can cut the little fringes off if they're spiral so that you have the neat edge if you want it. And just keep that around as note paper and scrap paper. I mean, nobody needs that much paper either, but at least it makes me feel less bad about throwing away a notebook that I've used 20 out of 80 pages of, but I'm not going to use it again. You can also rip out the 20 pages and keep the notebook too, but I mostly just have a large stack of loose leaf paper. And that's by design, because when I'm taking notes on reference books or work things or whatever, I file them in a binder. And so I like to rip the pages out of the notebooks anyway, because it's easier to store a bunch of notes that I've taken on books than to have all of the books taking up space. So I will just rip out the excess paper and then get rid of the rest of the notebook. And I especially recommend you doing that if your notebook is falling apart. Second question, which has a lot of sub-questions. Do I actually use items like this? For pens, do I like how this feels in my hand? If it hurts to write with it for long periods of time, I'm not going to use it. If it feels comfortable in my grip, yeah, okay, great. Then maybe that pen can stay. Do I like how it actually writes? You know what I'm talking about. There's some pens that you're just like, who made this pen? It skips every fourth stroke. You're like cramming it into the paper to get a good mark. And then there's some that just effortlessly glide. Those are the good pens. Is it something I got as a promo or a free giveaway? That is my problem. You will see this in this video. We just have a whole box of pens that are like promotional items that people gave us, or we picked up somewhere, or you get free pens from who knows where. I don't know where pens accumulate from, but they do. And if you just got it as a promo freebie, maybe you don't need it. If it's a really good pen, cool. If it feels good in your hand and it writes well, then keep it. Yeah, that's cool. But if not, if you're not going to actually use it, get rid of it. For notebooks, is this a size I will actually use? That's important. I have a bunch of notebooks that are like this big. That's not useful to me. I realize it's useful for some people to put in a bag or a purse and keep track of things on, but I don't do that. If I want a notebook, I'm usually writing freehand a long time, taking notes in the notebook. I have a couple that I carry with me in case I get inspiration for some creative endeavor, but that doesn't happen all that often while I'm out of the house. And if it does, I often just type it into my phone or leave myself a phone voice memo. So I don't find myself reaching for tiny notebooks, or even like, there's some that are like this big. They're the mid-size, but they're fat, that I have from work. They're not that useful to me. In that case, do I need to keep those? Probably not. You can give unused notebooks and supplies to half-price books and also save them for school drives, although school drives usually only want the standard size notebooks for school with spiral bounds. Check that. But don't just toss everything. You can donate these to some places. You'll just need to do a little research. Can I just salvage the paper out of this? I was talking about this earlier. A lot of the times when I have partially filled or mostly filled, but not all the way filled notebooks, I will just rip the paper out and keep it as loose leaf to put in my binders when I take notes and or use as scrap paper. If you want to, you can invest in a paper cutter so you don't have to cut it all one by one individually with scissors like I do. It takes forever, but it's also mindless work that is sometimes really nice to do when you don't feel like thinking about anything. You can just cut up some paper. Feels good. For used notebooks, do I need to retain the information that's in here? Is this something I need? Is it just old notes and I don't even know what this is and I wrote a bunch of stuff in here, but I don't care, or I know this, or whatever? If the answer to any of those is I have no idea what this is and I don't need it, then you can just recycle those pages or that notebook. I say recycle, check your guidelines. You can recycle spirals here. You cannot recycle bound notebooks because of the glue. So be mindful of your local recycling laws and guidelines. Can I just type the information into a computer, take a photo, or get it scanned? There are ways you can retain some of this information without having to keep the notebook and having a digital file. I have a lot of stuff like that where I have a bunch of notes that are old and I don't reference them very often, but it's stuff I do need to keep around because it's creative stuff, things that I'm going to work on, things that I just don't have time to get to, but I need to deal with academic things that I probably need to reference, but don't need to reference that often. In those cases, I'm going to keep that all out and figure out some way to get it digital. I don't know how, because a lot of it's just handwritten notes. And even if you do get a scanner that scans to smart PDF that search the text and have it in a usable format and not just a photo of a document, it's still not that good with handwriting. So I don't really want to type all of that back in. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it, but I am going to hang on to a lot of it for now. Not all of it. Some of it is like, I don't need this, but where I do need to keep the info, I'm going to keep those books and then try to figure out how to get it into a digital format. But that, like many things we are doing in these challenges, is a nice to have and not a need to have. And so we will prioritize doing that later. Is this a duplicate? If yes, keep the one that's in the best condition. So if you have, like me, 4 sets of crayons, 4 sets of markers, 4 sets of colored pencils, keep the ones that are the best. Keep the ones that are nicer, newer, you like the best. Or conversely, you're donating art supplies to a school or other, donating all of the nice ones and keeping your used ones because they will appreciate having nice new ones and not half-used crayons. Does this have a purpose in my life? Do you actually need this? Or is it something that you keep from past hobbies that you're like, oh, maybe I'll go back to this, but you haven't gone back to it in years, 10 years, 20 years? You're probably not going to go back to it, probably get rid of that thing. And if you're keeping it for future hobbies, well, maybe you can just buy that thing or the new version of that thing once you actually get around to doing that hobby. Maybe this declutter is the push you need to start doing that hobby. So make a decision though. Like if it's really an anticipation of, oh yeah, I always wanted to do that someday, but you've never done it. And you've been saying, I really want to do that someday for 10 years. Maybe you're not actually going to do that. I don't know. You have to decide that for yourself. So what you're going to do is take all of that stuff out of its normal space, put it on the floor. It tends to hide all over the place. So office, craft rooms, lounge rooms, anywhere you have bookshelves, bedrooms, spare rooms, kitchens, it's all over. That stuff's insidious. It just spreads. Consider it against your guiding question. If it doesn't fit, donate it, toss it, do whatever you need to do with it. Do some research. Don't just throw it out. That's a common theme throughout this challenge. If you can recycle, re-gift, or repurpose it, please do so. Please don't throw stuff out. But also, if it needs to be thrown out, throw it out. And then be mindful of how much stuff you're trashing and putting in landfills. And then maybe consider not buying that much stuff again so that you don't have to feel bad about how much stuff you're throwing out. That was a call out to me. But it's coming from me to you as well, because I have had to feel it throughout this challenge. It's a little bit of shame of like, look at how much junk you're throwing in landfills because you couldn't control not buying office supplies. Store anything you're keeping in a convenient, easy to access space in a way that makes sense to you in an organized fashion. Go back to my video yesterday on cleaning out my desk and the drawer organizer problem. There are not 2-inch drawer organizers, so we need to figure out something. But there are some organizational systems you can put in place, modular tray systems to put inside of drawers. You can keep all of those assorted office things in separate vessels, little individualized containers, so that they're not all just floating around, rolling around in your drawers like mine are currently doing. Have a dedicated office supply and stationery drawer or set of drawers or section instead of it being all over your house, so that when you need paper or a pen or a paper clip or staples or tape, you know where that is. I have a set of plastic drawers that is made for this purpose. It's not cute, it's not high class, it's sterilite plastic furniture, but it works. and I'm going to keep it for now. And if we need to replace it, we need to replace it. But right now, I'm just going to put everything in those drawers. After that, discard, recycle, or donate the rest. Put it in a bag for the charity shop if they'll take it, local kindergartens, local school drives if it's in good condition. Sell it on your local resale website, eBay, whatever. I'm sure there are places that you can sell craft supplies. If there's nowhere to sell it or donate it, then toss it out. Be mindful of how much you're throwing out so you don't buy more. I'm going to go through all of my things. You can see how many boxes of crayons, colored pencils, and markers I have. How many pens we have in this house. And notebooks, although I have been pretty diligently going through notebooks, so there are not nearly as many as there used to be. It used to be a way bigger problem than it is now, but it is still a decently big problem. So I'm gonna go do that. We'll be back at the end for a wrap up. All right, we're here in this disaster of a room for day 5, although we're not cleaning most of this disaster of a room in day 5. That comes later. What we are doing is finishing up our sort of hybrid day 4, day 5 paper / stationery declutter with this mess. It's art supplies and documents and stuff. There's also, I don't know if this goes under art supplies or like hobby. I think I'm gonna file it under hobby. Let's try this for now. All right, here's what's up. That pile over there is stuff I'm like, this is still in decent shape and or unused and can be given away. This right here is recycling. There's some stuff in the back to be shredded. Those are a whole bunch of pens that don't work anymore. These are like notepads and things like that that need to be sorted out. I have to think about the notepad situation in this house. I need to do a little bit more consideration on them. Same thing with like these pens and highlighters. That's what does work. This is stuff that I'm keeping. So there's one coloring book. There's a whole bunch of slightly lower cover weight than scrapbook paper or cardstock, but it's heavier than just paper stock. There's actual white paper. That's drawing paper, but it could also be used as printer paper if I could get it off of its little thing. There's some foam. I've actually used this in recent projects. So then I have one set of crayons, one set of markers, one set of colored pencils. I got rid of the other 2 sets of markers and set of colored pencils and 2 boxes of crayons that I had in here. So these drawers and these drawers are both empty right now. I think everything will fit in just this one, which is good. I can get rid of this big one. Yeah. Just need to sort out this mess right now, and then we'll be on our way. Over here dealing with the bottom of this bookshelf, and I found even more markers. I have problems. I like these pens. They write really well. They're good pens. I dig it. Do I need slightly fewer than 36 of them? Nope. Box of 36 pens. Seemed like a good idea. Yikes. I really wish my office was open and I could go in there and I would just dump all of these office supplies in their mailroom, because they actually use these pens. It's like the same kind of pens we have ordered in there. I would just throw this box of pens in the pen bin and then be done with it. But is it worth keeping them around until I maybe go back to the office for a day to clear off my desk and then dump these pens in there? Kind of maybe, yeah. I don't know. We'll see what to do with them. Speaking of boxes of pens, the last time we moved, I found every pen around our apartment and I just tossed it into this box. Actually used a few. It's really nice because I have come over here and been like, oh, my pen ran out of ink. But this is excessive. Nobody needs this many pens. Sorry, it's dark. Fortuitously, there's a TerraCycle. If you don't know TerraCycle, please look them up. I'll put a link down below. They have a bunch of different categories of stuff they recycle, or you can buy these like zero waste boxes. They're really great and they'll just recycle stuff for you. But they have a pen one that's sponsored by Bic, I think. You request a label and they send you a label and then you package it up and just send them a box of old pens. I mean,
technically they want dead pens that don't write anymore, but I don't think they're going to be mad if I send them perfectly good pens that I just don't want. So I already have a drawer full of dead pens that I've been collecting for this purpose. So now I will just make this broken box down here, the dead pens box, and I will package all of that up and send it to TerraCycle, and they can have pens I don't want anymore. Because who needs 5,000 pens? I'm really trying to get more all about like buying a good pen and then refills for it. So that's my plan. It's my new goal. I've been using some refillable pens lately instead of these Bic disposables or all of these ones I got as promos for stuff at job fairs, or just, you know, people give you pens. It's like everybody hands out pens at every convention, every business, everything you go to. They're like, hey, have a pen. No, stop. Stop with the pens, everyone. We're overrun with pens. This pile of stuff right here is staying. So it's, I took all the paper out of here. This is a very hard to use refillable 3-subject notebook. This is, I think Jonas had it in Korea, but it's got a date and a number thing. And I don't really need to use this, but one of the things that we do when we go to the grocery store is make a list. So I was thinking we could use this for that. I would give it away, except Jonas wrote a bunch of stuff on the back cover of it, so. I don't even know if I can get paper for this anymore, but like, I love this notebook, and it's refillable. Like, you just rip the sheets out and then put them back in. This I just bought, and it makes me happy, and it doesn't have lines, which is useful. I don't love this, but like, it's ripped. I ripped the pages out of the beginning, so I can't really give it away, and I don't hate it, so I'm gonna keep it. This is another just date thing. I may use this for work, or I may use this in my video planning in the future. And then I have this, which has these colored tabs, and currently the way I organize my notes for work is in one of these, so I just kept one around so that I have another one. These are the pens I've decided we're keeping. Some of them are really nice to write with, and some of them are just like assorted random pens, because we just grab pens, or I should say Jonas just grabs pens and then leaves them laying places and loses them. So I wanted to have some like not that nice pens. Then I kept some highlighters, which I was like, oh, you never use highlighters, except I literally used them a couple months ago. I was like, oh, I need highlighters. So these still work. I'm just going to keep them. Do I need 2 red Sharpies? Not really, but they're useful for, I mean, we write on, like, we label things with them. I don't need red ones, but, and then I have some folders so I can organize later, and that comes into play over here, because I have like this stuff, which is school and other assorted work related notes that I've taken that I'd really like to digitize or something, scan or type in. I mean, typing it in is going to be a mess, and who has the time? Not me. But I don't want to lose all this stuff. I just also don't really have the time right now to go through it in detail and decide what to keep and what not to keep. These are notebooks that are people gave me for work. I don't really need them, but especially now that I have my system of I have one notebook for work and then whatever, but I'm learning some new stuff, as you can see by my R books, so I was thinking it might be nice to just have some notes in there. I'm trying to go more paperless and have less desk clutter, like, but, and then this is personal stuff. It's the same idea as the work stuff, but it's just like personal projects that I need to keep this info, but I need to get it into digital format somehow. So that's where we're at with that. That's my third pile of recycling. And then I have this whole box of like notebooks and art things and unused stuff that we can get rid of. So that's how we're doing. I basically have like my binders with notes in them on the shelf. That's similar to like, these are all like those notes, but they're organized. I don't mind having printed stuff as long as it's not taking up a ton of room. It's fine. So I just need to get that system down. And now I need to find some place to put all of this stuff, and then we're done.
Okay, everyone. So that was a good day. We got rid of a lot of things. That's good. I have a huge box that needs to be dealt with in terms of stuff that I think is still perfectly usable and need to try to donate or sell or give to a shop, but I don't know if they will take it. I have to research that. So that'll probably sit there for a while I do that. But it's motivating because the more I have a box of random office supplies sitting there, the more I will be like, ugh, look into that so you can get rid of that stuff. My shelves are now officially a mess because I just have some binders and some stuff that needs to be scanned, typed in, otherwise dealt with and put into a digital format, and it looks like a mess right now and I hate it. But I don't know what to do because I don't really have the time to sit there and type all of that stuff in, but I don't know how to scan it in a useful format because it's handwriting. I know there are scanners that can do that stuff, but my handwriting is atrocious and it generally does not know what word I'm trying to write. Other than that, we got rid of a ton, as you saw. It was a mess and I should probably never be allowed in an office store or in the back to school or office section of any store ever for the rest of my life. This includes craft stores. I'm just going to turn over a new leaf and just not buy notebooks and crayons and markers and stuff. I'm gonna use refillable pens, and I'm going to understand that we're moving to digital. We are in a digital age and we do not need to own paper and pens. Okay, self. Okay, self. So, tell me how you did. Did you get rid of a ton? Did you not have nearly as much as I did? Probably. It would be shocking if you had as much as I did. Do you feel good about it? Or are you like, what about if I ever do those hobbies someday, maybe when I'm 65 and retired? No, tell me how you're feeling. Leave me some comments. Leave me your thoughts on this. It can be difficult if you're attached to these things or you really do feel like, I really wanted to take that up and now I feel like a failure because I never did it. And I would, in those cases, recommend maybe not throwing the stuff away or getting rid of it until after we've progressed a little bit through this challenge and you have done more of the internal simplification where we talk through what brings us joy in life. What do we want to do? What are our real goals? Because maybe you will feel truly like, no, you know what? I'm going to cut all of this other stuff and I am going to focus on learning how to do this hobby that I've said I wanted to do for 20 years. And I'm just going to do it. Maybe you want to keep all the stuff you bought for that. Or maybe as a reward, if you have the funds, of course, realizing that not everyone can just go buy new stuff. Maybe as a reward for clarity and figuring out your goals and getting rid of all of the things that don't serve you in terms of your hobbies and what you're working on. You can buy new things and get very excited about that hobby all over again. I mean, it's up to you, obviously. I don't know your situation, but until then, I would recommend if there are things that you're feeling particularly attached to, maybe don't get rid of those until we have finished this simplification process and you are very clear on how you want to spend your free time. Otherwise, you did great. You're great. You're doing great. We're all doing great. We're all in this together. And I'm loving the engagement on these videos and how much people seem to be following along and enjoying this. And even if you're not doing it along with me, you're leaving comments and encouraging me, and you're watching and you're sharing in my process. And it feels really good to know that I'm not doing this in a vacuum, that there are other people out there that care, that are following along, that are watching this, that are cheering me on. And I hope it feels that way for you as well. Leave me some comments. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you're feeling. Thumbs up if you like this. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified about the next videos in the series. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye till then.